Hey y'all! So today I want to discuss an area I feel is super important for our mental health as we are trying to conceive. So whether you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, how do you talk to different people while you're dealing with infertility? What do you say to people who have absolutely no boundaries? Let's talk about it. But first, take a moment, grab some coffee, tea, water, whatever drink you prefer, depending on when you're watching. You ready? So first of all, you are not required to tell your supervisor anything about your health, your fertility treatments. If they inquire about a sick day that you take for testing or monitoring, you can simply just tell them you don't feel well. You can be very vague in your explanation. In this world of post-COVID, so many different companies are doing hybrid work these days. So I recommend you go and get your blood work and testing and monitoring first thing in the morning, so you don't have to deal with your work questioning when or what you're doing. Most places work at 7 o'clock in the morning. They open so you can actually get your blood work done first thing in the morning. Now, if a coworker who you're not close with asks anything about your weight, or they make any remarks about your appearance, you can just tell them, mind your business, or not, depending on how close you are with them. You don't have to be rude. You can just tell them, you know what, I don't feel comfortable with having this conversation, and I would prefer if you stop talking about it. If they keep talking about it or they continue to make remarks later on, you can always just tell them, you know what, I really don't want to talk about this. If they continue to talk about it or they ask you about it at a later time, it's up to you if you want to take it to HR, but you don't have to tolerate it at your place of work. That is the last thing you want to be doing, is dealing with those kind of conversations with people you might not even like. Did you know that research shows that the stress of trying to conceive can be comparable to what people diagnosed with cancer experience? The emotional burden is immense, and it is deeply personal for each and every one of us. It is a vulnerable process, and yet it oftentimes feels like everyone just has an opinion and they have questions to ask you. And that was actually one of the hardest things for me, was dealing with family in particular. I hated going to family gatherings. I would get this knot in my stomach just thinking about the stress and worrying about the question that I was going to get. And so usually it was from people like cousins, not really like family friends. It was usually from cousins. So they would ask, so when are you two gonna have a baby? I would have to pause and kind of smile as my heart was coming out of my chest, and I would say something like under my breath, it's not from the lack of us trying. But inside, something would just be like killing me. I wanted to scream and I wanted to slap somebody sometimes. Cooler heads prevailed, but again, I thought about it plenty of times. Usually my husband would be there to reel me back in and say, okay babe, just take a moment. They didn't mean it that way, or just let it go. You know how they are. That was usually like my husband's thing. You know how they are. Because we knew every single gathering, it was going to be at some point in time a topic of discussion. It's wild because for literally 4 years, my husband and I were on this roller coaster ride just trying to conceive. And every single one of those questions felt like a spotlight on a struggle and a constant reminder of the one thing that we couldn't do, which was have a baby. At the beginning, we did our very best to be polite. I would say something like, oh, I'm not really talking about that, but just tell me what you've been up to. Tell me what's been going on with you. Then there were those times, again, particularly with cousins, when they were just intrusive. I will start with, I know you mean well, but our pregnancy journey is not up for discussion right now. You would think that after saying something like that, there would be no room for further discussion. But there were those times when they would just keep going. And towards the end of our trying to conceive journey, I think it was after our third miscarriage, I was so angry and I just really didn't give a damn. So I would say something like, how's your daughter? The one with 4 children? Is she married yet? And my husband would give me this look of, babe, come on. Why are you asking that? And I'm just like, maybe they'll just stop asking me questions. And usually that would just redirect the conversation into another topic altogether. So I was thankful for that. But if you rather mitigate the issue before it becomes one, you can always do what I'm about to tell you next. It's a great tip that I ended up doing towards, again, the end of our trying to conceive journey. I think it was after our 4th miscarriage, which was, to me, it was actually my worst miscarriage. So one of the most powerful things I actually learned was that you can call your, whether it's your family or friends, whoever's throwing the gathering, and you can ask them, hey, before I get there, we're on our way, but before we get there, can you please just let everyone know not to ask us about our pregnancy journey? We really don't want to talk about it. We are having a really, really tough time right now. And now, how do you speak to friends? I left the best one for last. I think this one should actually be easy because you know the kind of relationships you have with your friends, right? You know, there are some friends that you can only have surface relationships with. You can only have surface conversations with, and that's fine. Those are the kind of friends you go out, you party. Although at my age, which now is 42, while we're trying to conceive, it was mid to late 30s. At that age, I wasn't really into partying too much, so I didn't have to have those conversations anyway. But the closest friends to me, those I was able to have candid conversations with. Excuse me. Those friends, we talked about the best way to give yourself shots. We talked about the side effects from the fertility meds. We had some soul-searching conversations. And then there were just times that we wanted to drink some wine and just talk about how hard it is being a woman, right? But then there were times that I was hurting deeply. And it was during those times that I would tell my friends, I am happy for you, but right now it's really painful for me to be talking about pregnancies and people getting pregnant. I'm really struggling. So I still want to see my friends. I still want to have some fun, but it would truly mean the world to me right now if we could just hang out and not talk about babies, pregnancies, trying to conceive, any of that stuff. I just want to drink some wine, laugh, and just enjoy ourselves. And you can say those things to your closest friends. And if they are your closest friends, they will understand and they will support you in just being and not thinking about those heavy things that you're already dealing with on a day-to-day basis, right? Yeah, those friends, you keep them. You keep them close to you, and you tell them how much you appreciate them, and you tell them how much you love them, because those are the lifesavers. Those are the friends that you can call on your worst moments, and you can cry, and you can tell them. Those are the friends you can tell I don't want to talk about this right now. I just want to be. And they will always be there for you. So you keep them close, and you rely on them. They will be there for the rest of your lives if you continue to nurture those friendships. So I know even just thinking about these conversations can bring up a lot, like it just did for me. Unfortunately, as you go through the journey, and even after the fact, even years after, there are gonna be some times in your life that you're gonna try to talk about your journey, and trauma is still going to be there. And that's okay. Just take the time, embrace it. If you need to go to therapy for it, I know I did. I went to therapy. Just take the time to grieve. Take the time to process all the feelings and all the information that you get throughout the years. If you go through infertility for years, take the time to process the information, because it's a lot. But yeah, this can be such a lonely road, but the most frustrating or awkward questions are the hardest to navigate through. So why don't you tell me down below? Tell me, what are some of your most awkward or unsavory questions you've ever gotten while you've been going through this journey? Please let us know. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Honestly, reading through them helps us all realize that we're not alone in this. So be brave, have courage. We're all here to support one another. Let's come together. Let's do that. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I love you. Thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.